Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Moto Moves podcast. It's your host, as always, Bianca. And today I have a special episode that I've been trying to do for a year. I wanted to bring my husband, Hector.
Hello.
And I wanted us to not only just talk about a little bit about us and how we kind of came to be, but also the challenges of having a spouse with mental health. I don't want to say issues, but with mental health issues and how that has been difficult, not only for him as a spouse, but for him as a parent to watch the kids also have to go through the healing journey that I've gone through. And so, I thought it was important that we hear the other side, right? And I think that a lot of the times for us veteran spouses or couples, we're used to hearing the female or the wife with the combat vet or the male vet that has their mental health issues, right? And how it's trying for them. And I think it's important to also look at the other side, right? So we have the husbands that are also taking that role and having to take care of a spouse. And not only do I have mental health issues, but I also have physical disabilities that incapacitate me sometimes, a lot of the times, in my daily role in life, as a mother and as a wife, and as whatever role, whatever hat I'm wearing that day, right? As a student, as a employee, and he has to pick up the slack for that. The kids have to pick up the slack for that. And so those are trying things, and those affect the family dynamic. And I think that a lot of the times we don't look at that. We concentrate a lot on the veteran, which is 100% okay. That's what we're supposed to do, right? We're expected to look out for the veteran, but who looks out for the family and what they go through and their challenges, having to deal with our challenges. And so anyway, I wanted to do this episode for a while, and it didn't seem to happen for one thing or for one reason or another. And so we finally get to do it, and so I'm excited. And so this is my husband, which is also a veteran, and he was in the Navy for 8 years. And so I want to say a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like my wife just said, I was in the Navy for 8 years. I was actually deployed in Italy. And then after that, I became a recruiter. I also experienced 9/11 back in 2001. Yeah, I mean, but overall, I mean, I think I had a good experience in the Navy. I mean, I met a lot of people, great people, learned tons of things, travel around, and because of the Navy, I actually got to meet my wife as well. So I mean, I mean, so I think those actually kind of, uh, yeah. So yeah, the Navy definitely helped me out in a lot of things. Um, yeah, I mean, we've been married now for almost 15 years. February 14th. Will be 15 years. We've been together for 17 years, all along. So yeah, I mean, it's been it's been
A rocky ride.
been challenges, yes. No, there has been challenges, just like any marriage. But the main thing is to just when you fall, just get back up and don't give up. I mean, like she said, though, I mean, she does. Actually, both of us actually, we have mental health issues, and it's something that we we are challenged every day because of that. I mean, she has her issues. I have my issues, and but fortunately though, she was able to actually detect her problems way earlier compared to me. But it's just a constant work. in progress. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just constant work in progress. It's about you uh putting in the effort and trying to be the best version of yourself every single day. And trust me, it's not easy.
No, it's not.
It's not easy.
No. And I think, I think it's funny because I think back to like when we met, and if you've heard the podcast or read the blog or been following the podcast, or if you know us, you know exactly how we met, right? But I met him at one of the most challenging and trying times of my life. And I was recently a single parent in the middle of a divorce, and I couldn't find a job, and my daughter was sick, and I didn't have insurance, and so I was like, oh, I have a reenlistment code, and I still, my injuries never healed or healed correctly for that matter, and so I was like, well, I can't do Marine Corps physically, I can't. My daughter was like 5 months old, so I wasn't in shape. And I was like, oh, well, the Navy, Marine Corps Department of the Navy, I'll just go Navy. And so, whatever, I went in there, and he was my recruiter, and that's how we met. And he was trying to help me get a higher score on my ASVAB, trying to help me. And so, anyway, one thing led to another. I ended up finding a job, and I didn't even go, I didn't end up leaving. But then this happened, right? And so I think Hector was brave to take on this project that was a total mess. Like, I would have never thought anyone would be remotely interested in me in that time of my life. I was a disaster, and I was an open disaster. Like, I wasn't trying to hide it, right?
Actually, I'll be honest with you, that wasn't even, she wasn't really on my picture either, because when we met, I was actually transitioning into becoming a civilian. So I already had my ducks ready to go. I mean, I actually moved back to Puerto Rico, which is where I'm from. And yeah, I mean, and like I said, I just moved all my stuff back to Puerto Rico. I mean, and I believe we actually established that from the very beginning, that it was just something fun.
It's momentary.
That's it. So I mean, so she was very clear about that, and I was very clear about that from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Um,
So you don't look at all the red flags because it was momentary.
I guess so. I mean, but like she said, I mean, who is willing to take on a project that big?
I wouldn't.
Like I said, I mean, she's just recently separated. Freaking single mom. The baby's only like 5 months old.
No job.
No job. Literally. I mean, so yeah, I mean, so yeah, I mean, so like, so from the very beginning, I was like, you know what? That's it. I mean, we're just gonna have fun, and that's it.
It was fun.
It was very fun. Shoot, we're still having fun after 17 years.
Right.
But with that being said, though, I mean, but that I'll be honest with you, I mean, at that stage of my life, I wasn't ready to actually be a parent, which I mean, because keep it right.
I wasn't ready to be a parent, but I was a parent.
Still not ready, actually. Yeah. Any advice, please let us know. But
leave your comments below.
Right. No, I mean, but like I said, but the more I actually got to know her, we actually created this bond, and believe it or not, Kaylee, our oldest one, I mean, we created a magnificent bond. And as a matter of fact, though, I mean, even when I moved back to Puerto Rico, I was so attached to her that I decided to actually come back for her first birthday. And that was back in October. That was her birthday. And I did get a round trip ticket, and yet somehow I never went back. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I just stay out here, and I made the most out of my new family. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was a very rocky road, to say the least. I mean, but yeah, I mean, somehow we made it work, and we continue to make it work, and it's struggles, and the fact that not only you have to make sure that you are doing well for yourself and trying to be a better person every day for yourself, but you also actually have to send that image also to the rest of your family, I mean, because they look up to you. And yeah, I mean, so yeah, you have to be that role model. I don't try to sound uh, cliche, but yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to set that example for your kids and go from there. I mean, and like like Bianca said, my wife said, I mean, mental health is real. I mean, it's just crazy. She thought that she was marrying somebody that had no issues. Jokes on her, because I do have my mental issues as well. I just didn't realize that I had them until uh, very recently. Um,
I think, I think everyone has something. Nobody's life is perfect and it's all relative, right? All of our experiences affect us differently. We all have mental capacities at different ranges. So what might not be traumatic for me could be traumatic for somebody else. And my trauma might be minimal in the scope to somebody else's. And, it's all relative. And not to say that anybody's trauma is less than anybody's, but I'm saying in the way that it affects us, right? So I feel like I've gone through so many things in my life that um, even now we've had traumatic experiences, right? And I feel like, compared to the other trauma that I've been through. And so I think everybody kind of, measures, has their own measuring and their own measurement and their own scope as far as trauma goes. And so I think um, and I also think that when you're not healed from trauma, it's easy for you to not notice how other people's trauma is affecting you and them, right? Because when you're not healed, chaos is normal, right? Like when you're going through your own mental internal chaos and you're living in somebody else's chaos, it's normal. It's humbling. Like
It's okay.
It's okay because that's what you're used to.
Mhm.
And so I think maybe for you, my chaos didn't seem too bad because you were battling with your own internal chaos that you weren't aware of, and so it was normal. It wasn't such a big deal. But I know that as time went by and my PTSD and anxiety and depression progressed, I know it did take a toll on our family. And I know, so as you guys know, I have PTSD from, MST and MDV. So from military sexual trauma and from military domestic violence. So that's awesome. I have double the trauma, double the problems. And from there, stems the anxiety and the depression. And so I know it took a really big toll on me. And I say all the time, I still remember, I can, in that moment, I didn't see myself spiraling. But when I think back, I was spiraling. It's like constantly drinking, constantly eating, angry all the time, outbursts. Like I didn't care where we were, who was around. And if I was uncomfortable, my anxiety was high. If I felt like I had to scream, yell, insult, I did it, work, get togethers, home, the kids, him, and, uh, in the chaos, and in the normalcy, because it becomes a habit, like you don't realize this, your every day, and then you apologize, you move on, and then you get over it, right? You're depressed for a couple days and you don't want to do anything, and then you're normal again, and it's like, and so it just becomes like this cycle. But for you, what do you think was let's talk about anger. Which part of my anger do you think affected you and the kids the most?
When it comes to that, though, I mean, I I don't think I don't think it really affected the me and the middle one and and our youngest one, but I think it did create a barrier between our oldest one and me. I mean, and understandably so, of course, because I mean, because what she had just went through, because the issues that she was going throughout the moment, but she would, dude, you used to like get upset at so many little things. I mean, and like I said, I mean, it was normal because we just kind of used to that chaos. And it kind of like she pretty much I understand she understood that we were you understood that we were that we were a family overall, but you still had that so much anger that it actually affected Kaylee and I mean at the same time. And it's kind of hard to describe, to put into words. Because
the tension that I created.
Crazy. I mean, like I remember like she would just you would just literally go like issue anything. Like you just blow up out of it, make a big deal out of literally
Yeah,
anything.
my trigger tolerance was intolerant. Like everything triggered me. And I think when I think back to her triggering me, it was, you know, she was going through her own stuff, right? So she was going through her own PTSD issues, anxiety and depression from her trauma that she had experienced and was experiencing, because that was simultaneously happening still for years, right? And so I think, like for me, like you know, she was always like yelling and screaming and like throwing the fits and stuff, and so for me that was triggering. Like the screaming is triggering to me, like, you know, and that goes back to the domestic violence, right? It's like fucking scream and don't scream at me, you know, and but I didn't understand that then, you know what I mean? It was like, it was just, to me, it was just like, ah, don't do that. And so then she's constantly doing that. So it was almost like I was resentful towards her because she was constantly irritating me, but I didn't understand why. But then there were moments where I was like, maybe too lenient with her when she was having her own outbursts, because I felt guilty because I knew she was going through stuff, right? And so I was compensating with like yelling at her for no reason because she was triggering me because she was triggered, right? And so there was kind of like this cycle where I wasn't helping her triggers and she was aggravating my triggers, and that tension was creating, you know, a rift between you and her, because you and her were like this.
We were tight.
I mean, she wanted you more than me. She didn't care for me. It was grandma, dad. That's it. Nobody else existed in her world unless, I mean, other than, right? And so I know that. And in retrospect, I saw how that did become an issue. But okay. And so what about like my anxiety? How do you think that my anxiety has affected you guys and you?
Well, I mean, and that when it comes to anxiety, I mean, it's just we are very limited about doing social things. They're very limited. I mean, like we cannot be at a crowded place. We cannot be indoors for a long time. We cannot be doing any of those things because the fact that, I mean, she just gets this, I was it panic attacks, but I mean, but you can tell that she definitely doesn't feel comfortable. Her anxiety does kicks in, and yeah, I mean, it can be difficult. I mean, because I mean, we have to, for example, we need to go to the mall. We need to run different errands. I mean, but guess what? I mean, she's already. If we can, I feel like we can even schedule to do something like that because it's already. She already has it in the back of her head. I mean, it's like, oh my god, we're gonna go do this, and her anxiety will start. You can actually see the anxiety building up till that moment. I mean, there have been plenty of times that we have to go somewhere, and then next thing we know, we kind of have to cut it short because that's what her anxiety kicks in, and we cannot do it. I believe right now Instacart is probably her best friend because she doesn't have to deal with nobody. And yeah, I mean, so, but that's just how it affected us so far. I mean,
I think I'm getting better
I mean,
a
absolutely.
little bit.
No, but that's the thing. But at the same time, though, to be fair, though, she's been working on herself for 10 years. I mean, Bianca has been. You don't trust me. I mean, I still remember when we freaking sang "Happy Birthday" to our middle one, when she was 2, and Bianca just flipped while we were singing "Happy Birthday." Topica.
Because you started singing the Spanish.
Because I started singing the Puerto Rican version of the Happy Birthday.
And it wasn't it wasn't that, it's tradition. Like now we look forward to it. Like we sing happy birthday and we stop and we wait for it. And if it's not happening, it's like, okay, where is the version at, right? I don't think it was, and it wasn't that. It was just, it's too much. It's the people, the planning, the running around, having to do every day. It's like the overstimulation, right? And so I think a lot of the time I'm overstimulated because my anxiety is like up here. Like this is my baseline. Baseline anxiety is right here. And people probably don't know that, because I think I do a pretty good job for the most part at hiding it, right? Because I have to be functioning. I'm a high functioning anxious person, right? So like I have to because I have to survive. What am I supposed to do? I mean, I want to cower in my house all day, every day. If I could, I would. I hate being around people because people make me uncomfortable and I don't feel safe. And that goes back to that MST, right? Because I allowed someone that I didn't know into my circle. And this is not placing blame on myself, but subconsciously, right? Trauma. Because I accepted someone that I didn't know until my close circle, that happened, right? And so now, stranger danger, right? So my brain is stranger danger. And so I get anxiety to have to be out. And that means everywhere I go, there's strangers because the store, the mall, a party, right? And I know that these things are not necessarily going to happen, but I can't help that my brain is rewired that way now, and then my anxiety is here. And let's say we're not going anywhere, but we have to have an event. Like now I'm like running around, I'm overstimulated, right? There's people everywhere. My attention is needed everywhere. And so like for that moment, I think back and it was just like the overstimulation. And it was just like, I think my body had had enough, right? And so whatever it was that moment that triggered me, that I just blew up,
Right.
And so now I feel like I blow up before we get there because I work myself up worrying about, like I start worrying about what I have to wear and getting ready and the fact that we're going to drive. And sometimes we don't even make it anywhere because I self-sabotage. I've talked about that a lot of times. I create a problem, I create an argument, and then we fight, not like fight, but we argue, right? And then it's like, I don't want to go anymore. I don't want to go either. And the kids are pissed, and disappointed, or he's disappointed. And then I'm so in the moment that I don't give a fuck, I'm just like, whatever. And then 5 hours later, when I'm over it, I feel guilty. And I'm like, oh, we should have gone. And I feel bad for everybody. It's too late. The event is over, or now there's not time to go do what we were going to go do, And so then I think I've gotten better at that, but I know that it still happens. But but that's
the thing, like, we were talking about earlier, though. I mean, but you have been working on yourself for the past 10 years, though. I mean, FYI, I mean, you didn't just become this person overnight, though. I mean,
right.
It took you years of it took you years to actually develop into the person that you are right now. And even though you're still not perfect, nobody's perfect, of course. I mean, you still have your traumas and you still have all of the anxieties and the depression for that matter. I mean, because let's keep it real, I mean, we're never gonna, that's gonna just gonna haunt us forever. We're gonna live with that forever. But guess what, though? But I think the important thing, the important message here is the fact that you have worked on yourself. You have exceeded expectations. You have overcome these many obstacles that they were, I want to say, pushing you down as a person, but it pretty much put you at a halt.
It restricted me.
Exactly. So again, but like I said, like I said, you probably still have those that restraining things that affect your life on a daily basis. But again, the important thing is the fact that what have you done? What have you worked on to actually become the person that you are right now? I mean, when I first met Bianca, for example, she was overweight, and like I said, she came
Tons of
with all
baggage.
kinds. Yes, yes. I mean, but guess what, though? I mean, and it may sound like it's a long time, 17 years since we've been together, but it really isn't. 17 years is really nothing. I mean, it may seem like a lot, it's a lot of work because all the things that you have to do to better yourself, to be self-aware, and that's more the main thing though, being self-aware. And I think that's what Bianca, I don't want to say she mastered it, you haven't mastered it, but the fact that you can deal with this on a daily basis, it makes you who you are. I mean, the successful person that you are. I mean, 3 degrees, freaking 3 different businesses. I mean, and I just feel a great mom, by the way, because I mean, just because she has all these things going on, she's still a great mom, and she still cooks, she still freaking spend time with them. She still takes them everywhere. She freaking fat football or soccer or dance classes, or I mean, I don't even know how she does it, to be honest with you. Because, like I said, it's just a constant thing. But guess what though? I'd probably say that 5 years ago, 7 years ago, she wouldn't be able to be doing all this stuff. I mean, you would be like so overwhelmed that would be like, oh, that's it. I'm out.
I'd be yelling up a storm.
Up a storm, that's correct. I mean, and now it's just, I mean, like I said, I'm pretty sure she still feels that way. Just screaming at the world and tell them, fuck you, I'm out. But guess what? No, I mean, but no, I mean, like I said, she has learned to be self-aware. She has learned to become a better person, and the successful person that she is right now is because the hard work that you do on a daily basis. Do you have breakdowns? Of course you have breakdowns. I mean, it's not always roses. I mean, let's keep it real. I mean, you guys, it's always a patchy path. But guess what, though? I mean, but the fact that you tackle it, and the fact that you just say, you know what, I know I have this, but guess what? The fact that you can actually acknowledge and able to overcome it, that just makes you the great person that you are today.
Okay.
Stop it.
And so I think what you just said, I'm not wrapping up yet, but I think that's my message, right? Like that's what I want people to know. Like, it's hard. It's fucking hard. And when you're in it and you hit rock bottom, I mean, I think there's a book called something about hitting rock bottom is a trampoline to success or something like that. And I think that she's actually a veteran. So I'm going to look that up. I'll probably put a link down here. I haven't even read the book, but when I read the title to that, and I read like what kind of her story was, like that is true. Like, I think you have to hit rock bottom to realize, like, holy shit, where am I? Who am I now? Like, how did this happen? Because when you're in it, you don't see it. And even when you have those moments of like guilt, where you're like, fuck, what was wrong with me? Like, why did I act that way? Like, even then you still don't for some reason have that capacity to really understand like something's wrong with me, you know? And I think it takes a lot of the time, not always, you know, but for me, I think it took me to hit rock bottom to be like, what the is going on with me, you know? And it's true. And even in those moments that, you know, where when I was in my darkest, I never thought I could accomplish school. I didn't feel like a good mother, like a good wife, like a good daughter, like a good person, like a worthy person. That's the word, right? Worth. Like I didn't have self-worth. I felt like I was worthless. And all because of those experiences, right? So somebody thought I was worthless enough to, you know, assault me. You know, like they didn't take into consideration not my mind, body, or soul, right? And so it's like, and so your brain, you know, it's like I'm worthless to the world, to a stranger. Like I was nothing, you know, and domestic violence, you know, like to be insulted and degraded and told all these horrible things for years, right? And physical violence aside, you know what I mean? Like to be told and made felt constantly, you know, and be cheated on and think like, why am I not worthy enough? Why am I not good enough? Right. Why, you know? And so you lose that self-worth. And then that just, you know, and you start believing it and you're just like, I'm not worth it. And so you kind of give up without realizing you're giving up, you know, like you do, you give up on yourself. There's nothing worth it anymore, you know. And so I didn't think I was worthy enough to become anyone or be anyone. And then that made me feel shittier because I was like, but I am someone's wife and I am somebody's kid and I am somebody's parent, but I don't even deserve to be that, you know.
Took that away from you.
They took that. I was robbed of that, you know. And so I think that's how people spiral, right? Because you lose yourself. And if you don't have yourself, then you have nothing. And so what do you work for? Nothing, you know?
Right.
And so yeah, I think for me hitting rock bottom was like being at my heaviest, being unhappy with myself, being in every aspect, appearance, my accomplishments, parenting, being this, you know, like everything. Like I remember just being tired of being sick and tired, you know? I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And that is when I was like, no, like, you know what? I'm fucking tired of feeling like this. I'm tired of feeling sorry for myself. I'm tired of like, I'm tired. And it's weird because it's like a switch, right? Like I went from not caring about myself and not caring about what I felt to like caring about not caring, you know? It's kind of contradicting, maybe. And so it wasn't easy, right? But I think, and that's why I promote like physical health and working out, and, you know, because I think that was the, I think that's the easiest and fastest thing that you can change that will give you an automatic like change, you know, because you see it. It's like it's tactile. You can feel it, you can see it, it's real. Right? Your mental health, like, yeah, mental health is harder. Because you're gonna have really, really bad days, especially in the beginning, right? So you're gonna stumble a lot and you're gonna fall hard. And so those things always feel like one step forward, 20 back, right? So when you're working on that and you're kind of failing, which is okay in the process, you can start feeling like a failure, right? And so for me, changing my physical part helped me a lot because I was like, okay, I can do this. And I see it happening, you know, like right. I see the pounds coming off. I see myself getting stronger. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't just like vanity, right? I see myself getting stronger. Like, oh shit, I can do something I couldn't do 2 weeks ago. I can do something I couldn't do a month ago. Right. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I am capable of doing stuff, right? I am capable of change. Then, you know, you start feeling better and you're like, oh, remember how I was always in the hospital? Wasn't I always in the ER? And they couldn't find anything. I've been probed in all places. I've had every single test done before I was even like 30, right?
Yeah.
And I was constantly in the hospital, constantly sick, and nothing was ever wrong. They could never find anything, but you know what? I was unhealthy. You know what I mean? I was super overweight. I didn't take care of myself. Not only you're depressed, I mean, that affects your body too, right? So I mean, I started feeling better. I wasn't constantly in the hospital anymore. You know, our relationship started getting a little bit better. And so those things, being able to see that change and looking in the mirror and seeing like I'm becoming this different person makes it like motivates you, right? It like catapults you to be like, oh, well, if I can make this change, right, then I can do this. You know, and then you start that. And then I went back to school. And I was taking one class at a time, right? But I went back to school. And it might have taken me this long to get my 3 degrees, but I got 3 degrees. And who would have thought that I would have gotten where I'm at? Like, I would have never, right? And so that's why I want people to understand like, you're not stuck, you're not lost.
I think rock bottom, I think is a necessity for everybody to experience. I mean,
It's humbling.
life will humble you quickly.
Yes.
And I guess and some of us stay rock bottom for 5 years. Some of us stay rock bottom for 3 years. Some of us stay rock bottom for 10 years. I mean, because rock bottom, I mean, it's how
Subjective.
it's subjective. I mean, yeah. I mean, like right now, I feel like we are at a very high.
A very high low.
No, yeah, as far as our relationship,
Yeah.
family, I think we are at a very high level. However, though, there's some other things that we are kind of rock bottom that we haven't experienced this in over 10 years. So again, I mean, but what do we do though? I mean, we can do two things. I mean, when we hit rock bottom, we kind of just cry about it
Sink lower.
and just okay, what am I gonna do? Nothing, okay, whatever it is, what it is. Or you can, okay, how am I gonna get out of it? How am I gonna use this rock bottom as a trampoline to actually make a reference to what the book that you were talking about? I mean, how am I gonna use this rock bottom to trample in myself and actually be better?
Catapult you to, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, so but I think, like I said, rock bottom is, I think, it's a necessity for everybody. And your rock bottom might be different than mine, and my rock bottom might be completely different than the other person, which is a-okay. But I think that rock bottom is extremely necessary for all of us to experience, because now we know what it people show us. It defines our character as a person, as an individual. So I mean, like I said, I mean, Bianca, she was rock bottom for mentally, emotionally. You were rock bottom for at least 6, 7 years at least.
At least.
I mean, 13.
Yeah, because Chloe was how old? Like
Two?
2?
2.
So she's what, 13? Oh, so I was rock bottom like 10 years, maybe. Maybe. No,
No.
you're right, like 7.
Yeah.
7 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and yeah, I mean, but guess what though? I mean, but like I just said though, I mean, but one thing they were to do was that rock bottom catapulted you into where you are right now. I mean, if it wasn't for that, God knows where you would be at.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
Yeah, no, definitely. And we definitely have had, I've had a rough experiences, rough patches, which we still have, I still have. And I mean, and I think it takes a village, right? Like if I didn't have your guys's like unconditional love and support too, I mean, who knows how long, you know, it would have taken me, if ever, to get to where I'm at. And I think that's an important part too of creating support. And so sometimes the people you least expect will be there for you, and sometimes, you know, the people you expect will be there for you. For me, I was lucky to have you. And the kids, I mean, the kids, they unconditionally love their parents, right? But I think now, especially that the girls are older, like I feel like their understanding and their maturing um, is helping me now in the level of healing that I'm at now because they understand, right? And they're empathetic. And so I think that's important. And again, the reason why I created this kind of, community or outlet or whatever, because sometimes we don't have the right people in our lives to support us the way that we need to be supported. Not everybody understands, right? And so like Hector might not completely understand my traumas because he hasn't been through them, but he's empathetic to me based on his traumas. And so I don't understand his traumas because I didn't experience those same ones, but I can be empathetic to them. And so I feel like for us, we have a good coping environment for the most part. I mean, it's not perfect, right? There's some things, some days, some situations he can't understand, and vice versa. There's things that I just, no matter how understanding I want to be, I can't. But I think that's what happens to all of us, right? And there's some of us that we don't have an environment, like our parents don't understand and will never understand, or there's certain, like backgrounds and ethnicities. I for sure I know that my mom's generation did not believe in mental health. If I would have said I needed therapy or I was depressed back in the day, she probably would have been like, "Oh, okay, well, suck it up. Everybody goes through rough shit, Um, and it's not her fault. That's just the way she was raised. And I know that people have reached out to me too from the Black community, Hispanic community. I had one person I connected to, and she was like, "I'm a straight white girl," and I'll tell you, my parents are not Hispanic. I'm not, but I have the same experiences. My parents would have been like, "Okay, then get it together, suck it up." And if you don't have a support system that understands how mental health works, you're just gonna feel attacked, right? Because you're just gonna feel like unheard and I hate that for people. I don't want that to be the case. And so I feel like creating this space and speaking about, my experiences can hopefully somehow help not only people that don't have support or of their own village, right? This could be like their virtual village, but even people that do, even people that do, and they just need that little reminder of, it's going to be okay, or, you're having a shitty day today, but it's going to get better, you know? And so I think it's important. And so ultimately, like, that is my goal here. And I want people to understand, like, where I have gotten was not easy. And I'm
By any
still,
means,
yeah, and it's not finished. I'm still working, right? But it is possible. I hate for people to think like this is the end, right? There's no way out. That they're alone. That the world would be better without them. That's definitely not the case. And I know that those thoughts happen and those feelings happen, especially after severe trauma. But it doesn't have to be that way, and you don't have to feel that way. There's people like me, and there's a whole sea of people out there trying to lend out the hand and take you in and be there in some kind of way. And I think that's my message, and I hope that I am portraying it. I think sometimes I get a little lost in the motions, but I'm trying.
well, I mean,
you
that's the
know.
deal. Again, but that's part of the journey. That's part of the path. It's not always gonna be garden and roses. I mean, flowers and no, it's gonna be touchy moments, and that's okay though. It's okay for you to have a rough couple of days. It's okay for you to say, fuck your world, and I don't wanna fuck everybody. It's okay to. It's okay though. That's a okay. But at the same time, though, knowing the fact that you're trying to better yourself. I mean, you're gonna every day, except for those days that fuck off, well, at the elder days though, it's like, you know what? I'm gonna be a better person. I need to work with myself. And overall, though, at the end of the day, is that what I mean? And not everybody's fortunate like us, meaning like they have the support and they have the little village, like you just called us. But we're here for you. I, I mean, I can. You may not understand me because of my accent, but I be able to listen to you. I mean, and like I said, I mean, she has literally dedicated the past 3 years building up for moments like this to help out people like ourselves. I mean, I think she's doing a phenomenal job about it. Yeah, very proud of you. Good job.
Thank you. Yeah, no, and it's hard. And speaking to anxiety and stuff, like preparing to do this, like this is hard. I don't like attention. I don't like being the center of attention. Coming to terms to having to spread my story and put myself out there, that's always been difficult. Still doing it, publishing things on a weekly, monthly basis. I'm just like, it's freaking scary. But the purpose is greater than the fear, right? And so and through that, I hope that through my vulnerability and my work, because it's work, we get positive outcomes, which I know I know so far I have, because I've connected with so many people that I'm so grateful for, that reach out for, just to vent or for a hand or to just even tell me to thank me, and so that means so much. And so I know that it's worth it, but this is not easy for me whatsoever. But I do it with great love from the bottom of my heart. And so also, so I wanted to, before we wrap up, because I think I'm gonna get ready to wrap it up here, I wanted to talk about My Moto Mommy, the book, right? And so originally, I mean, and still, the purpose was for to create a space for female veterans, right? MST and MDV. And so I don't want to stray from the path, but I also want to open it, right? Because I've gotten so much feedback and so much following and from different people, right? And so assault isn't only in the military or with veterans, right? And domestic violence doesn't only happen in the military or veterans. So I think the message is broad, right? And both those things don't also just happen to females, right? Men are assaulted as well, and violence and intimate partner violence goes both ways, right? And so I'm not naive to that. And so I hope that whoever needs to hear this can, and what is the word I'm looking for? Whoever needs this clarity or message can use it to their benefit, even though, the goal was to reach, female veterans. But with that being said, I just want everybody to know that this is for everybody. And if anybody needs anything, and if you need to, you need some support, or I can't even think of what I'm trying to say. But if you need, if what I'm, yeah, if what I'm providing resonates with you, then reach out, whoever you are. You don't have to be a veteran. You don't have to be a female. Like if this is for you, then, reach out. And so the other thing too, I was going to say, and like, that's where the My Moto Mommy came from, right? So, from all these experiences that I had, and that's why I made the book so broad. Like I didn't want to say combat. I didn't see any combat, right? But the things I experienced were in the military, but trauma also includes, combat trauma. And so I'm gonna have guests, which I already had a guest that, experienced trauma in combat. And so I generalized the book to be able to cover all of it, like the things I saw, the things I did, things that happened to me, so without being specific, so that it can, be a support and for everybody, right? And so in turn, with having the following that I have, that's why I created the general version, because of course it's true. Trauma does not just happen in the military, it's for everybody. But now I've had people reach out that they want a My Moto Daddy. And so, which I'm not trying to neglect or uh, ignore, right? That. So, what do you think of making a My Moto Daddy version of this book by a popular request?
Oh my God, I don't know. No, I mean, well, you'll be cool. I mean, that, like I said, like you just mentioned, the fact that you're doing all this for the it's more inclined to women and uh, women veterans. I mean, so yeah, it makes sense. But you know that's the thing about me, though. I mean, and I'm pretty sure a lot of us also feel this way. Meaning males. I think we downplay our trauma because
Yes.
guess what, though? I mean, because that's the reason why, like, yes, it will be great because guess what, though? Yes, you put it out there to the world that we have traumas, but guess what, though? I mean, we are so um we have to be macho and nothing should bother us. And in the military, they pretty much insert into your brains that you are this and nothing bothers you and you're a war machine and you are invincible and nothing happens because you're Iron Man, that. So guess what? We downplay our trauma and our trauma is real. I didn't know I had a trauma until a month and a half ago.
I mean, I'm good like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, no, but yeah, that's probably so yes, to your
My question?
yes.
It would be a good idea.
That'll be cool.
Okay.
That'll be cool. Like I said, I mean, but to everybody out there, do not downplay your trauma. Do not. I mean,
It's all
only you know how you feel. Only you know how that event affected your life. Only you know that. So
yeah, don't downplay it. Yeah, it's all relative. It's all relative.
Yeah.
You know, and so okay. So yeah, I've had a couple of requests, not a couple, but a good amount. And so I just wanted to see what you thought. I think it's a good idea. I'm gonna continue doing my Moto Mommy, and like I mentioned before, I have a lot more ideas and you know, to come based on, you know, military children's books, especially mental health. I have some other to come too that are more on the general side. So based on my Moto Mommy, but non-military, I'm gonna do a couple of mental health and health based on the experiences we had with the girls. You know, we got a bipolar, we got a epileptic, and so I think it's important to be able to advocate for those experiences and those families too. So that's in the works. But yeah, I like I said, I think I'm here. In the end, it turned out to be that I'm here for everybody. Although that was not the original plan, the path went a different way, which is okay. I'm okay with that. Because we are our own village, you know, we take care of our own. And that's what we were taught, and that's how it should be. Because no one understands military life like we do. And so yeah, so okay, so I guess stay tuned for my Moto Daddy. See how soon we can whip that up.
Let's go.
Yes. And so anyway, I want to thank you for doing this. I know I've been wanting to do it for a while. I know it's not your most favorite thing to do. He's not a very social media kind of person at all. So thank you. And yeah, I'm very appreciative for you doing this. Thank you. Thank you.
No problema.
All right. So I think that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this little chat, and we'll invite you into our home in a more open setting. And yeah, thank you for listening and following. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you share, make sure to get your free therapy and work out every day. It only takes 20 minutes to feel good, guys. Just 20 minutes. You know, drink your celery juice, make moto moves, check out the book, share the book, and catch you guys later. Thanks again.